Hello. Hello, Limassol. How are you? Good? Yeah. Well, I'm excited to be here after I spent my last 6 months in Riyadh, which you can imagine the difference between being in Riyadh and being in Limassol. It's great to see a beach again. It's great to see skin again. And it's great to be in Limassol again. All right. My name is Firas Mghames. I'm from Lebanon. I'm the founder and CEO of FEER McQUEEN. FEER McQUEEN is a hybrid creative agency. It's based in Lebanon. We started in 2011. And this is where our headquarters is landed. And we have an office in Riyadh, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We have in Doha, in Qatar. And recently, in late of 2020, we opened our office in this beautiful island. So I'm here to talk about how e-commerce is dead. And when I say that e-commerce is dead, I mean that this, I don't know, this thing, this thrill that we've been living, this fear of that e-commerce will kill eventually the traditional commerce and the offline commerce, I think after COVID and after the post-COVID era, we can all say that this e-commerce thing, it's gonna be dead. And what do I mean by it? Let me go through it. There's a famous researcher called Doug Stevens that he said that we are at the end of the beginning of the e-commerce era. So if e-commerce was a book, we're now finishing the first chapter, which is called Amazon. And we can see that it's no longer the challenge of grabbing people to buy online, getting them to download our apps, go online, do their shopping, everything related to that. Which one? Which one you're pointing? This guy. All right. Yeah. Well, I got your attention. So it's no longer the challenge is to migrate people online. But the challenge is in the future is how can we get to their day-to-day life? How can we how can we exploit the delivery channels? How can we go to their home except being only on their phone? And you can see that giants, retailers like Amazon, they started to create these kiosks, then compounds, and the towers building, entrances, whatever there's a cluster in all communities where people can grab their stuff on 24 hours. As we speak, we can see that the Sky founders, they created these six-wheelers robots that they deliver groceries all across London. And we can see that how Jeff Bezos are now dropping the delivery box at the doors of place. So why e-retailers, after spending so much energy, so much time, so much money in convincing people to go online, now they're going into their life and they're reformulating their offline strategy and they're going back to the offline. Well, why they're doing all this stuff? Why they're doing all this turbulence after achieving their initial goal, which COVID helped them to achieve? Because eventually they found out that there's something deeper in why we shop, why consumers shop. There's a deep psychological and social need for people to go and shop. They want to interact. They want to talk, they want to negotiate, they want to try. There's a social aspect to it. And e-retailers, they convince us to go online, yes, but eventually we're going back to the offline. So this is why they've decided, like Amazon, to create these physical stores, and other retailers are following this trend. So eventually, more and more, as user experience designers and customer experts, customer shopping behavior experts, we can see that people online want to imitate how we're doing our shopping offline. And this is why we're going back from online to online. So one of these examples is live commerce. And we've been seeing that live commerce is taking over now everywhere, e-commerce, and it's going to be the next big thing, or it's already being the next big thing, which is the best combo between e-commerce and live streaming. It's been introduced by Alibaba. It's been, I don't know, a couple of years. And now it's doing magic. And eventually, what is helping e-retailers, it's helping people to spend more time online, streaming more, getting more money, adding the basket values, and eventually, why it's working? Because, again, it's helping people. It's easy, it's accessible, it's relatable. I can get my information now. I can get the opinion of others now. I can ask, and someone can reply to me now. So it's kind of when I go into, again, an offline retailer and where I can talk and I can interact with the buyers and all that. So eventually, they didn't create anything new. Eventually, if you remember the television marketing and the instant buying when we were kids and we were seeing on televisions, so e-streaming is kind of the same thing. But eventually, it's adding this human element that we all are missing when we went online. So COVID, yes, it helped us. It helps e-commerce, it helps the e-retailers, but the numbers are showing again that offline retail, it's not that. So who's behind all these e-streamers? It's not an easy thing. It might look amateur. We want to see a real person going live from his mobile, but eventually, if we go and we see all these big brands, there's a big team behind them. There's big producers, there's the videographers, there are people preparing the content, we have people doing the testing on the products, we have people comparing products, comparing prices, but eventually what the consumer is seeing is only this online streaming guy going online in his mobile. But eventually, all this is to make it more relatable. So what I'm trying to say, as an agency, for the last at least 5-6 years, we've been engaged a lot with the tons of clients, working on e-shops, building their brands, building their brand currency, building their e-shops, doing their growth marketing sales funnel, doing their social media, etc., etc., etc. Whether it was, for example, here on beauty products, whether it was for sports app, whether it was for pharmaceutical products, whether it was jewelry, whether it was food delivery apps, whether it was product launching and special events, famous cigarettes brands, handmade products for cigars, for example. Another one, which is, this is what? It's a learning platform for kids, fashion. What do we have next? FMCG, and even we did for pet food. We've done it all. We tried it all. We did everything that for all industries. But what's next? The big thing that the revelation that we got after COVID, that all agencies, and here what I mean by agencies, whether they were advertising agencies, digital agencies, social media agencies, tech agencies, any kind of agencies, that after this era, we don't need to sell our services anymore. That's not really what we need to sell. What we can do to the customers, we can operate the business for them. So the next big thing for after e-commerce, when it comes to business, to agencies, is actually to learn how to do commerce and how to do business when it comes to creating the product and eventually manufacturing product and learning how the logistics works and how the operation works and all that. And here I'm going to give you an example. During COVID, all the agency were around 100 staff back in Beirut. The lockdown happened, everyone went home. We had kind of readiness to work from home, but it was our first time. So eventually, we spent a lot of time wondering what we're gonna do. And some functions, some departments, they were able to continue their work, like designers, like content producers, like the developers. But some other talents, they couldn't work, like the photographers, like the videographers. So if the videographer didn't work and the director didn't work, eventually the editor won't work, and et cetera, et cetera. So we had a lot of around 30–40% of our talents, they stopped the work, but they were getting paid and they were at home. So this is where we got to the idea that, okay, we've been wondering about e-commerce a lot. We've been working around e-commerce a lot. We have the experience. Why don't we build our own platform? So you can see that, and this is a common pattern, that in the last few years, especially during the last year, that a lot of agencies started owning their own e-commerce, and eventually they're starting to own their own products, and eventually they're building their own business offline and then later on online. And one of this example is Evola. Evola, we created it during the first wave of the pandemic. So we wanted a platform to go online quickly. Our agency had a lot of experience when it comes to beauty products and luxury products and all this. So we said, okay, let's focus on that. In 2 months, we had the platform ready, up and running. Our photographers, they did, in their home, they took the pictures of all their products. We had a platform ready and going and all that. So it's a platform for beauty products, for pharmaceutical products, for parapharma product, and eventually what we integrated in it is the telemedicine thing. So eventually, because we understand that e-commerce has to be eventually mimicking the idea of mimicking the experience that we're having offline. So whoever would like to buy, if a girl would like to buy a cream or care skin or hair skin or everything related to that, she would like to have an advice. So what we integrated in the platform are experts and beauty experts that they can go by appointment or live, or they can talk to them, and they can give them an exam, they can give them a free consultation or paid consultation if they want to spend more time and all this. So eventually, what are agencies doing here? They're going beyond marketing, they're going beyond media, they're going beyond e-commerce, and eventually they're reaching to the level of learning commerce. Because we know the digital world, eventually it's time for us to know how the offline operation in the real world is happening, because we believe, and we can see how e-retailers are doing, same as Amazon. They know how the e-world is working. Now they're moving back to the e-commerce, the real commerce, how it's working. So here we can see a few examples of this platform, how it's working. For example, here what we did, we created several type of content based on our audiences and how different they are. We spend a lot of time talking to beauty experts. We spend a lot of time talking to skin consultants, to doctors, to people that they have the real experience on the ground for years and years. And we took their experience and we copied it to the online world and vice versa. So this is more examples. How we had doctors. One of the interesting things is it more than doubled our numbers in the first 3 months, which is we introduced Aya. Aya, she's a persona that we created. It's the name of the agents that talk to our customers online through WhatsApp mainly, just because we gave our customer service agents a name, which is Aya. We gave her a face. We gave her a tone of voice. Just by that, in less than a month, we doubled our numbers, especially on these channels. So what does that tell us? So people, they would like to know more about who's behind the screen. People would like to be entertained. They like to be pampered. And eventually, the more that we create stories around Aya, the more we create content around Aya, the more Aya interacts with them on Christmas, on the holidays, on any type of occasions, not Evola, I'm talking about Aya itself. We can see that they feel the love, and eventually they would like to give back to the brand. And eventually, this tells us how the real commerce is working, how the real world is working, and eventually the learnings that you're passing to online. So eventually, e-commerce is dead in a way or another. It's definitely for us. And this is here what I would like to say, to add is same from our experience as marketeers, what's been happening for the last few years. we no longer have something called digital marketing. It's just marketing. Going back a few years ago, we had a lot of marketeers. They introduced themselves as I'm more into the traditional marketing, or I'm more into the digital marketing. And nowadays, we can see more and more people are just introducing themselves as marketeers. So the same thing we're going to see in the next couple of years, even less, probably by end of 2022, where they're going to go and say that we are an e-commerce business, we have a platform online, we have a hybrid platforms, we have our retail stores, we're trying to integrate technology into our offline stores and vice versa. We're trying to shift all this knowledge here and there, and eventually we'd like to say that this era of e-commerce, as we knew it before, proved to be dead, and we're going into something new. So this is our talk for today, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I'm enjoying Limassol. And at the end of the talk, I would like to just go through our showreel of our work, so just get to know us better, because we landed here in Limassol. It's been a year, and we'd like to get to know more the city and the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much there, Firas. I do have a few questions that have been started to come up on Lido. Until they show on screen, if you don't know how to do it, slido.com is the website, and you're looking for Reflect Fest as the code, and join the Old Port room for your questions for Firas. Thank you so much for that, by the way. Very interesting.
Most welcome.
And I'm very happy to have some more entrepreneurs, also from Lebanon, my country, which I feel they're great entrepreneurs, especially in hospitality and in marketing. And if people want to speak to Firas, also he'll be around here. Their stall is right there next to us as well. Let's take. And what's your advice to new marketeers? I'm guessing, or marketers.
In what field? In what sense? So my advice when it comes to any new talent is eventually that we have something in the agency that we'd like always to promote, which are the hybrid talents and eventually the cross-breeding talents. So as marketeers, there's now two schools. We have people that they go and focus on one discipline and they really get to know their craft. And there's another school which is we're on this side of the spectrum, which is eventually people to expand their knowledge horizontally and get to know a lot about a lot of things. So eventually what we believe that the next thing is for someone to understand marketing, they need to look at it as marketing as a big umbrella, and under it there's a lot of disciplines from advertising to branding to growth marketing and eventually more and more agencies and more clients, they want people to understand all of that in one person. That's definitely very challenging, but eventually what I'm trying to say is try to understand things from the macro level and then go into the micro level. That's a risk because you might end up not knowing any craft, but eventually I think there's a lot of added value can be brought into your experience as you move along with your career. Good.
And we have another question. What makes you stand out from other businesses?
First is definitely our culture, and so we're a multidisciplinary agency. We're expanded into 7 departments, and the culture of diversity, not only on the talents, but also when it comes to the people themselves. That's something that definitely it's one of the main things that we believe it sends us from the others. We're very people-oriented, and we have the understanding, and we know exactly that we're a business based on people. So the better you recruit, eventually the higher chances you're going to get to grab better talents because they want to interact with the people that you have. And I think this is one of the main factors that will help any agency or any digital business or business involved in digital in the future.
One more. Let's take one more. How is it possible for small businesses to adopt the more personal online touch where people and resources are limited?
definitely you need to look into why you deserve to be online, why you need to deserve the attention of people. So going back to the marketing one-on-one, before going into everything related to communication, how I'm communicating my message, am I doing good, etc., etc. First, how can I get the attention of people? So it's all about the attention. This is where it starts. So if I don't have a product or if I don't have a proposition that is unique, that will get people their attention, I don't think we're going to unlock the other stage. So first, it's about why I deserve to be online. In order to answer that, it's about how I can get people's attention. And from there, it can cascade into the other levels.
And I've got two more coming up right now. What is your favorite platform for marketing and why? Is it email campaigns, Google, direct email, etc.?
Actually, we don't have a favorite channel. It depends on the market we're working on. Let me tell you, for example, here in Cyprus, do you use Twitter frequently?
Twitter?
Twitter?
It's not as big.
All right.
So I don't know. I could be wrong. Is Twitter as big in Cyprus? I think they agree with me. It's not as big.
Yeah, same in Lebanon. Same as I believe in most of the countries. But if you go to Saudi Arabia, we're doing campaigns just by relying on Twitter. So when I am in Riyadh, my favorite channel is in Twitter because my audience is on Twitter. That's the first channel. The second channel is Snapchat, which is dead in most of the countries. So if I'm in Lebanon, the first country will be in Instagram. So it depends on where the audience is, and eventually this will become my favorite channel.
Maybe you can ask me that question. Why isn't Twitter big in Cyprus?
I don't know.
It's very big in the US. It hasn't caught on in Cyprus. And in Lebanon either,
In
as
Lebanon,
much.
what is it? Sorry.
Twitter has not caught on in the Arab world and in the Middle East as much.
Depends on the use of it. For example, in Lebanon, it's used by the politicians, it's used by the opinion leaders, it's the place where they have a debate whether they need to create a poll about a change in the country and all that. But it's not a place for brands, it's not a place where you can create content, it's not a place where you can launch your product, it's not a place where you can create a buzz. Versus Saudi Arabia, because they have the culture, for example, going back to the audience, you need to know the audience, because they have the culture where they spend most of their nights in what we call majalis, which is they sit and they talk. So if you go back to online, that's Twitter. You sit and you talk. So they talk about anything and everything, and that's the culture in Saudi Arabia. The Saudis, they have this. This is why Twitter works for them versus other countries. Probably they cannot launch or create a buzz around it.
We do have one. What was a hybrid model?
All right. The hybrid model, it's the model of agencies that we can call it a one-stop shop, or an agency that they serve different disciplines. So, for example, at FEER McQUEEN, we started as a branding agency back in 2011 in our year of foundation. And after 2-3 years, we shifted to the hybrid model. So we expanded horizontally from branding to branding department, to an advertising department, to digital marketing, eventually growth marketing, and user experience and all that, to technology, where we have the developers and we create the solutions, to eventually on the production level, where we have our directors, DOPs, editors, our green screen studio, photography, and eventually 3D and 2D animation. So the hybrid model is the model where you have talents from different disciplines interacting together under the same roof on day-to-day basis, without relying on outsourcing.
And let's take one last one. Alexandros is asking, are you oriented to the new era of individual marketing? If yes, how, and if not, why?
It depends on the market. There's a lot of debate around that. I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell about that.
Mr. Firas, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate your talk. Thank you. If you'd like to speak to Firas, he'll be around as well at FEER McQUEEN as well. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your stay in Cyprus.
Thank you.